All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about mental and emotional abuse. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys are ever watching this on this live, hello, I see. And if you're ever watching this on the rerun, leave a comment below, hit the like, subscribe, let me know what you think about it. But today I'll be talking about mental and emotional abuse. And how I always like to start off my episodes is I like to talk about a previous episode that I've done, which is called It's Frustrating Until It Gets Beautiful or It Becomes Beautiful. That episode was done January 27th. So if you ever want to go back, look for that date, January 27th of this year. And so the slide that I picked up was, let's see, hold on, I just got to do some readjustments. A slide that I did was on women love to exaggerate. Okay, women love to exaggerate. And you're like, what do you mean, Mitchell? What do you mean we love to exaggerate? That's exactly what I'm talking about. So the first bullet point says that this is where men can be their most attractive self. Okay, this is where men could be the most attractive self by displaying that you understand her. By displaying that you understand her. And this is where you could take a step back and understand her. Okay, basically you're bringing her from her masculine back down into her heart, her feminine. Okay, and when you listen to her, remember that not to take things too personal. J Park, that was G-Mans. Remember to not take things personal. So for example, she might say things like, "Oh, you never do this," or "You don't love me. You always do that." Because when you get mad and you're upset and you're communicating that, you're basically conveying to her that, or you're communicating to her that is, I don't understand you. Because when you get upset and you be like, "Oh, this is, what do you mean I do that?" You're conveying to her that you don't understand her. So us as guys, we need to take a step back and be like, look, we're trying to understand a woman. Instead of being argumentative and be like, "Oh, I never do this. Well, then what is this? And what is that? And how about this when we did this last month? And look at these are the receipts," right? It's like you're conveying to her that you don't understand her. And she's going to be even more upset, right? So how they respond emotionally would become another one of her tests, and you will always get more of those tests. Okay, and the more she tests you, the more upset you get. This is gonna push her back from her feminine back to her masculine, and then this is where most men make the mistake. They make the mistake you know what? I'm so pissed off. What's up, Patricia? What's up, Jordan? They take a step out and be like, fuck. And so they need to talk to somebody. And so what they end up doing is they go out, they call one of the homies that don't understand women and be like, "Oh, you need to tell her this and you need to tell her that." It's like, all right. Now you're getting advice from someone that don't really understand women. That sounds like they do because this is what they've done, right? But then if you really look at their experience and how they treat women and how women treat them, it's like, well, you can always kind of see. Like, I would never take advice from a friend that gets no respect. Like, his girlfriend does not respect him, but he will try to be like, "Oh yeah, this is what you should do." And I'm like, there might be some validity in that, but based off your experience and your type of relationship, I'm just taking it with a grain of salt, but I appreciate you looking out for me though, right? I really do. Right? So be careful getting advice from other people that when you see their relationships not even doing that well, be careful taking their advice. All right. So anyways, Medusa, right? Medusa is this witch, aka the bitch. Okay. I don't know if your man has ever called you a bitch. I'm watching videos. Oh, thank you. I don't know if your man has ever called you like, "Oh, you're acting like a bitch," blah 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 blah, right? Like Medusa, That's what she is. She's the witch, aka the bitch. Okay. And basically what happens is when a guy tries to go in there and tries to solve her problem, what ends up happening is that he's basically trying to cut up like Medusa's head. Those snakes. He's trying to fix her problems by slicing it off, right? And the more he cuts Medusa's snakes, you cut one, two grows back. You cut two, four grows back. And so that's exactly what happens when a guy gets into a relationship and he argues with his woman. Because the more you argue with him, basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna slowly reinforce more of why she's feeling the way she is, and you like I said, you're conveying to her that you don't understand her. And the more you do that, the more she's gonna not trust your masculine core, the more she's not gonna want to open up to you. And when a woman doesn't feel heard and understood, the legs close, and then you're gonna be upset. Well, why don't you have sex with me more, right? How come you won't do this and how come you won't do that? Well, it's because if you do things right as a guy, she's going to want you more than you want her. Trust me, all right? She's going to want you more. So, anyways, back to Medusa, right? When femininity doesn't feel supported, this is what happens. She feels more defensive, right? She gets more defensive. So when you're communicating, ladies, when you're communicating to a guy and you're talking about your feelings, right? And he doesn't understand you, you're going to be more defensive, and he's trying to solve your problems. Now, this is where you could make his life a little bit easier, because if you want the relationship to work, you have to be willing to communicate. And how do you communicate that? What you can say is like, hey, babe, what I really want from you right now, more than anything, is that I want you to listen. Can you do that for me? I want you to listen. Because men are like dogs, like sit, stand, fetch, right? Like, yeah, that's kind of how we operate. Women, they're like cats. You ever notice a cat would just jump on you? And if it does not want to be on your lap, guess what? It's going to hop off, right? So it's the same concept. And it's not to say that we're animals. I mean, we kind of are, right? But men are like dogs. We need commands. This is what we need to do. This is how we operate, right? So if you want your guy, your man, to understand you, just let him know, like, this is what I need. This is what I need. And trust me, there are a lot of times when people are in this heated, they're already stuck in their head. I'm like, I even talk to them. And this is me being a guy talking to another dude. I'm like, may I speak and can you listen? May I speak and can you listen? I've heard what you have to say. I need to say something too. They're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. So I start talking and they'll be like, I was like, stop. We gotta stop. I'm gonna ask you again. Can I speak? And can you listen? And then I go again. And if they can't, I'm like, look, if you're gonna interrupt me, basically we're putting everything at a halt. And there's this defense. And we can't go past that. All right. And if we can't get past that, guess what's gonna happen? We're never gonna be able to talk about certain things, right? So being defensive, right? It's breaking down those barriers, right? What's up, Bree? So now, that's how femininity is, right? So when femininity doesn't feel supported, she gets defensive, right? She gets into her masculine, right? What us as guys should be focusing on is, how do I get her back into her feminine? How do I make her feel heard and understood? How do I make her feel like, damn, this person understands me. This person is trying to understand me. And when you could provide that for your girl or for your wife or for your lady in your life, guess what's gonna happen? She's gonna be like, damn, no other guy has ever made me feel like you listened. Because 99% of guys out there don't listen. Okay? 99%. So when you become this 1% or even 3% of that, she's gonna say things like, oh my god, you're not like any other guy I've ever met. Because guess what, most guys operate the same exact way, and if you want to follow them, you could. You don't have to listen to my advice, but I'm just letting you know. Right now, On average, woman speaks about 20,000 words a day. Okay, y'all ladies, I don't know how you do it. 20,000. All right, so that's a lot. Okay, compared to men who speaks about 7,000. All right, so y'all speak about almost 3 times the amount. Okay, y'all could talk about everything. Okay, literally. Oh my God, I got avocado toast, and then like, damn, this is what happened at work and shit. I'm thinking about buying this new designer bag. It's like, okay, right? For me, I'm like, all right, so you talk about avocados, designer bag. Okay, you're back to this. All right, well, shit. Sounds like you got a lot on your mind. Yeah, it's a lot. And then it's for me to like pick up all those. All right. So, anyways, so woman, she likes to speak about hyperboles, right? In other words, exaggeration, right? You always do this, and you don't ever do this, right? You never do this. You always do that, right? You don't love me, right? And it's not that you never you don't always do this, or you always do this, or you don't do that. It's just how she feels in the moment, right? And how she feels at the moment. And like I said, she speaks in exaggeration. It's basically what she's saying is, what I'm feeling now is reminding me of what she felt before. Like, so example is like when she feels like, she says, oh, you never take me out. She remembers the time that you didn't take her out when you said you did. That's how she felt. And it's your job to not take that so personal. Be like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I never take you out. Yeah. Remember that one time when I was there by myself, right? In this one booth when you weren't there, right? You can have some fun with it, right? You weren't there, and I was eating this, and this mysterious person was over there eating, I don't know, chicken Alfredo, right? That you love so much. I don't know. It wasn't you, right? It wasn't you. It's not funny. Yeah, it is a little funny. It is a little funny, right? So like I said, like, don't take it too personal. But when you do take things too personal, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to operate from a place of like having fun, right? Fun. And it's so, trust me, I get into my head sometimes too. I'm like, God, like I could have an attitude. Trust me, I'm human as well, right? But it's like being able to not always be in that place all the time. That's how I'm able to be able to communicate with certain people. I would just suggest getting ready to go somewhere. I would never beg. Yeah, but then eventually, let's just say you got a guy, Melissa, and you suggested so many things, and he doesn't pick up the hint. You're gonna get upset, and when you get upset that he doesn't understand, he has to be able to communicate to you that, hey, you know what? Hey, Melissa, like this is, I'm not psychic. I don't understand. I'm not telepathic. I don't have telepathy. Like, you have to let me know certain things. So that's why it all kind of boils down to like your values, right? What are your goals and values? Yeah, you'll be single very fast because guys are like dogs, right? All right, so the first one first thing I want to talk about is stonewalling, okay? Because stonewalling seems to be pretty predominant in relationships, especially when kind of things don't go your way, right? So stonewalling, it's an abuse, and abuse comes in many forms. It doesn't just have to be physical, right? But this is mental and emotional abuse, and it's not nice, and you should never treat your partner like this. And if you are doing this, well, guess what? This is one of the four horsemen of predictors of a relationship ending or a divorce, right? So stonewalling is defined by being uncooperative, right? Obstructive, or even evasive, right? So say, for example, you're upset and I'm trying to talk to you, and you're like, I don't want to talk to you. So I'm like, hey, let's try to talk about this. You're like this. Yeah, that's not gonna make me want to talk to you, right? And so, like I said, stonewalling, uncooperative, obstructive, and invasive. And if they utter the words such as like, "Oh, this is the way I am. This is who I am. This is this is who I am." Like you sign when you got into a relationship with me, like this is who I am. This is who I'm gonna be. And also, they're not trying to become better, and they're not trying to seek help. And even worse, they admit that they're fucking bad. They're like, "Oh, this is me. This is oh, you want me? I could be even worse. Like I could be worse than this. Like you haven't even seen the end of it." It's like, "Oh yeah, those are fucking red flags. Like run for the fucking hills, right?" Not gonna lie, face, right? Yeah. So that Melissa, maybe you got some things that you want to work on too as well, all right? So, like I said, these are certain red flags. Run for the hills, right? And because the main thing is that you're looking for someone to grow with, right? Not to be with someone at a standstill, because a relationship can't grow where you're standing still. A relationship grows where there's circulation, right? And you're supporting each other. I'm trying to understand you. You're trying to understand me. You're trying to listen to each other. That's that. I tried to talk to my twin when he was upset. We both were. I sat down and talked. It worked without argument, right? And it feels so good. It feels so different when you're able to communicate with the people that you love most. Like I said, it doesn't have to be just an intimate relationship. It could be any type of relationship, especially if you have kids. These are like things that you want to instill in them while they're young, so that when they get older, they are able to communicate calmly as an adult with people, right? Then they know what not to deal with. Because I want someone that communicates with me and talks to me if they're upset, not someone that just yells and screams, and then if they don't like it, they stonewall me. And so they see it as this punishment, like, "Oh, I'm gonna punish you, Mitchell, so that like this is how you make me feel. You make me feel like shit. I'm gonna punish you and not talk to you for days." That's not somebody that you really want to be around. Yeah, it feels like a very, very good success, right? And it's something that you don't really think about until you're like, damn. And that just shows me, Cynthia, like that just shows me that you have more emotional self-control. So congratulations on that. But I do hear people out. I swear, I just looked annoyed. Maybe you should like nod and ask questions. So here's also another thing too. Like if someone's talking and you listen, ask them questions. Like, so when I do this is how I make you feel, right? Instead of using the word you, right? Or if someone else is just letting you know, like there's certain problems, like you want to be able to talk to them and then ask questions because it shows that you're listening. Yo, what's up, man? All right, now moving on from red flags. Okay, let's see. So you're looking for someone to grow with, not be at a standstill. Let them know, because if they want to be at a standstill, let them stand there by themselves. Like they could do that. Stand there. I'm gonna do something else, right? I'm gonna go find somebody else that's willing to listen, that's willing to be in a better relationship, because this is not what I'm trying to sign up for, right? So whether you may know it or not, sometimes you might not be aware that you might be doing this to other people as well. So if you are doing this and you're not sure, go look at your actions. What are you doing, right? Because I caught myself. I was like, oh shit, I did that to someone once. And I didn't know I was doing that. And so I was like, oh shit, I need to correct this. This is me. Like, guess what? Because this is how it happened. Like, if you grow up in a dysfunctional home where yelling and screaming is not uncommon, like that's pretty normal, especially in the Asian culture. All we do is fucking scream, all right? And we scream for everything. So like it's hard to differentiate. It's like all my friends are like, dude, why do you always sound like you yelling? It's like that's how we talk. We're excited all the time. But when we're mad, you could tell we're mad. But you can't tell because this is new to you, but this is normal for us. And to them, it's like, holy shit, that's weird, right? But anyways, yelling and screaming, right? In this household where it's kind of dysfunctional, it's like you may be passing these on to the people around you, and potentially you might be oblivious to it. Like you don't even know that you're doing it, right? Like I wouldn't have known. Like my friend's like, damn, why are you yelling? I'm like, am I? But I got defensive and I was like, no, we're not. This is how we talk. He listens. Wait, you're dead wrong for this? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. You dead wrong for doing this. Yeah, we yell, right? Asian people yell. It's like, why do we yell so much? I don't know. I don't know. We're excited about a lot of things, right? Question: is it true that if a guy never takes action on still dating his girlfriend, like on like taking her on dates, that's him, not just liking his girlfriend for the most part? Maybe it's not that he's not liking. I wouldn't take that out of the category. I'm pretty sure he still cares, he still loves that person. And that's assuming that he does. But a big part of that is maybe it's he got complacent. He got too comfortable in a relationship. You do scream for everything. Yeah, like that's how we are, right? That's like, and I'm trying to tone that down a little bit. But it's kind of innate. It's kind of hard to take that out little by little, little by little. All right, anyways, let me move on. So, you may be passing it on to, the people around you, right? So you're looking for a good teammate where you can bounce ideas and support each other to become better, right? And one of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn is, and this is for you, and you could take it or leave it, okay? But ultimately, this is for you, and you take it on how you want to become the person that you want to be, okay? With Jim Rohn, he says, you can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. And on a flip side of the coin, it reads that unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. This quote is so fucking good. I'm going to repeat that again. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. And the flip side of the coin is unless you change how you are, you always have what you got. So the people that sits there and complains that nothing ever goes their way, and how come this doesn't happen, and how come I don't have a girlfriend, or how come I don't have a boyfriend, or how come people don't do this and do that for me, and people that just bitch and complain, fine, let them complain, okay? Let the complainers be complainers. But you're gonna be, and the reason why you're here today is because you're listening and you want to have a better life. And so with that, it's like, why wouldn't you want an extraordinary life? We all have one destination at the end of the day, okay? We all, in about 100 years, no one's gonna remember anything that you've done. No one cares. No one cared about, like, if for guys, right? No one's gonna care about that one girl that you went up to over at the bar and she dismissed you or she rejected you, right? No one cares about that. So it's like, what do you really have to lose? Instead of that little moment of embarrassment, what do you really have to lose? By taking action, right? So you can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. Now, like I said, I grew up in a household where like yelling and screaming, it was very, very common, right? Then it's weird because then we would solve our problems by ignoring each other. And that's how we did things. Like we just stopped talking to each other. In other words, stonewalling. So then I started doing that. And then when I started realizing I started doing that to other people, I was like, Mitchell, you have to change. You have to be able to communicate. If you don't communicate, how am I going to have a better relationship with anybody? If this is how I solve my problems, I have the problem right now. So I have to really sit back and take steps back and be like, this is me. This is my fault. So I took initiative and I was like, I need to learn. I learned how to tune out loud voices because yelling and screaming is pretty predominant, right, in your household. Is that right? So now, like I said, like nothing ever gets solved. Problems that occurred previously will still come up and it's pretty consistent, right? And, but I was young and I was like, but this is how we love each other, right? This is how we show each other love, but not holding on to grudges. But it's like, well, there's a difference of not holding a grudge, but actually trying to have a better relationship. It's the difference of playing not to lose and playing to win. I'm playing to win. I'm playing to have a better relationship. And if you're not on board with me, then you could play not to lose, but that's not the game that I want to play. So that's the moment when I realized, I was like, yeah, like something's still missing. Like I need it more. I need it more. And I want to better my relationship, whether it's with myself and with other people, because I was sick and tired. Like I was tired of it. I was like, how come I don't ever get the relationship that I wanted? How come there was a time where I was like, damn, I really didn't like being around myself. It's like, it sucks. Like I need friends. And it's like, now I'm like, damn, I can't wait to be alone. I get to do this. I get to learn. It's like, I love being with myself. And so when I am by myself, or when I am with other people, they enjoy my company and I enjoy theirs, right? Now, second slide. It messed up your view of family love. It did. And you know what, Melissa, that's the card that you were dealt with, right? And everybody starts differently. There's some people that starts great. They have everything, right? They have money, finances already settled for them. They never, like, they get Porsches when they're like 16, 17 years old. It's like everything's laid out for them, right? Everything's laid out for them. They go into good schools, right? They have a mother and a father, but yet somehow, some way, they still end up at the bottom. And it's like, but you start seeing people that had nothing that become so much more than they are, right? And so you really have to be careful with, like, there's certain people out there where, like, there was this quote, or there was a video where I saw, I think Cynthia, you sent this to me, where someone great, you can't always bring someone great. You can't always bring someone on the bottom. It's like, it's not your job. You could try, but if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it, right? But on the flip side of the coin is someone low can always bring someone great down, right? So it's really about, like, who you're hanging around with, right? There's certain people that I'm just like, yeah, I got to be on my own, because, like, we don't align in certain things. And it's like, yeah, it is you and it is me, because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to sit around not doing anything. I don't want to just always have fun. Like, my type of fun is the progress I get and the person I become. That's my joy, right? Someone got to change in the household. I start with myself. I see my twins doing just like me, screaming, yelling, right? And that's the best thing that you can do, Cynthia. Like, you can only set the example and see if they would follow, right? And it's not your choice. It's not your choice to make them follow, right? But if they see you and they respect you and they're like, hey, look, I'm just trying to talk to you. And if you're going to be able if you're not going to be able to communicate with me, then we're going to have a much more difficult relationship. And it's not just me and you. It's going to happen with your relationship as well in the future. And it's going to happen to your lover, right? That's why divorce rates is so high, right? It's like, you're not there to change nobody. But, you know, I'm here to try to gently nudge you, kind of gently nudge you into that right direction so that you could become a better person, right? Yeah, I mean, like, I get horoscope, and people always use horoscope and this and that, but at the end of the day, character is destiny, right? Like, you have a choice to become the person that you are. People, when people hear that I'm a Gemini, they're like, damn, you're two-faced. Oh, you're like, I was like, you didn't even get to know me. But if you want to judge me through, like, a horoscope, by all means, like, you already have this story that you have written before you even met me. So I'm not here to try to convince you. Like, you could think that all Geminis are bad. I don't mind that. Like, that's, you know, but unless you're willing to give it a shot, like, hey, here I am, right? But I'm not gonna try to push myself onto you, right? So I'm way more sensitive to feeling hostile in people than you distance yourself. Why? How so, Melissa? Okay, now, the second slide is 4 predictors of divorce, okay? And I want to give the credit to Dr. John Gottman. And so these are the 4 negative patterns that predicts divorces and or breakups. And the first one is going to be criticism, okay? Criticism. It's insults or derogatory name calling, okay? So pointing out their problem, right? You're pointing out their problems, and you're pointing out the problems they see in their partners, right? They're basically using negative descriptive adjectives like you're stupid, right? You're useless, you're uncaring, you're thoughtless, you're negligent. Like you're basically bringing someone else down. But what criticism does is that you're stating that I'm perfect and you're not, right? And criticism is stating an attack on the other person. You're just criticizing. I'm perfect, you're not. And so what you end up getting is, oh, you're not so perfect yourself. So there's a lot of backlash, right, that comes with it. My ex-best friend treated me poorly and said she's an Aquarius. Like, yeah. There could be a brand new horoscope and they'd be like, oh, I'm this, right? And they will believe that. People will believe what they want to believe. My boyfriend called me crazy because I literally almost fought a girl at the store. The point they might as well not be together. Yeah. Who you almost fought, Melissa? Like when someone new is in my friend circle, I can feel they're commenting on me in a negative way. It gives me hater vibes. Now, if everybody is giving you this type of hater vibes, you might be doing something right or you might be doing something wrong, right? If everybody's doing that, okay? And you're not going to always fit into everybody's circle. Like there's absolutely people think like, damn, Mitchell, you're full of yourself because you think you know relationships. Like, and they used to be like, well, how's your relationship? And now it's this. And it's like, I just told you I'm a relationship coach. I'm not digging into your life, right? And so, like I said, go back to my previous episodes about projecting, right? Because a lot of people, they like to project certain things. It's like, oh, you must be cheating on me. I'm like, where the fuck that come from? Chances are you're cheating, right? People that can't instill it in themselves and they can't admit it to themselves, they try to put it on other people and they blame shift, right? So anyways, criticism's the first one, right? The second one is contempt, right? And this is the best indicator of divorce. And like I said, this is by Dr. John Gottman, Gottman. So if you're interested, you guys could go look him up. This is what he wrote. So credits to Dr. John Gottman, all right? So contempt, number 2. And this is the best predictor of divorce. And it's defined by the feeling that a partner, that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving of scorn. Basically, in layman's term, you're saying that I'm superior, you're not, right? And an example that they kind of gave was like, oh, like there was this guy, he was just kind of laying there and he was like, oh, you know, you always say like, yeah, you know, like everything will be better, right? Don't worry about it. We will have better days, right? Like, I still got your back. It's like, yeah, she's trying to be supportive. And then he's mocking her, right? And you're acting superior to her. And so there is no relationship where there's no respect. There's no relationship. I don't care what you say. There's no relationship where there's no respect. And basically what contempt is it's disrespectful. You're disrespecting your partner. And if there is no respect, well, guess what? Love follows that. Love follows respect. So if this is respect, I should have wrote respect right here. Respect, and this is love. Wherever respect goes, love follows. And once respect leaves the door, love follows that too, right? So think about it in your relationship. Was there a time where there was a relationship that you're in and then you lost respect for your partner because of how he or she was acting? And when you lost that respect, let me know how you felt about that love that you had for that person. Did you really love him? Did you really love him? Maybe you did before, but do you still now, right? That was the question. It's not everyone, it's just certain people get jealous of me or whatever for the reason they make remarks to humble me down. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I'm better. Oh, so they just automatically assume that you're better than them. Okay. Well, if okay, this is what I would put. If everybody is thinking that, Melissa, and it's not to say that you are doing this, but just take a look back and be like, well, is there something that I'm doing, that I'm saying, that I'm conveying? Maybe I'm bragging or something, whatever it could be, that may come across as I'm better than you, right? Because there's a difference. Because I did this once too. Like it's unintentional, and I would just talk about certain things, and it sounds like I'm bragging, right? But then I learned to just keep my mouth shut. And if other people talk about it for me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I do, right? So if people ask me like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I guess I made it. Thank you, Tracy. It's good seeing you here. Yeah, there's certain things. It's like, oh yeah, like talk about this, talk about that, right? Now, so I already covered the first two, which is criticism and contempt. The third one is defensiveness. Okay, defensiveness. They don't see themselves as part of the problem. They only see the other person's wrongdoing. Okay, and so when you're being defensive, right? Like, what do you mean? I always play video games, right? Like, you always do like your nails, right? You always do this and you always do that, and it's like, yeah, you're mocking. Yeah, you always do this and you always do that. Like, oh, you act like you're, and then there's where criticism comes in, right? Now you're criticizing them, right? And it's like, oh, and then you start using contempt, right? Like, oh, I'm like this, and like, oh, everything would be all right, right? And so now, like, these are stacking, right? They kind of work synergistically together, right? So with defensiveness, basically what you're saying and you're conveying is that you're invalidating the other person's feeling. And when guys do this the most, this is the worst way that you could convey to your woman that you don't understand her. When you get defensive, I don't fucking cook, I don't do this, I don't do the dishes, I never took you out. Like I said, woman speaks in hyperbole, right? Over exaggeration. Oh, I never do this? Look, bitch, here the receipt, right? And it's like, yeah, it's gonna further her reaction. She's gonna be like, yep, you're right, he doesn't understand me. What do you mean I don't understand you? What are you talking about? And it's like, well, now, like I said, you're looking for someone that's willing to communicate, someone that's able to talk to you and to convey to you certain things. Like, hey, you know what? Like for ladies, tell your guy, I just want you to listen. I want you to listen. I love it when you listen. It makes me feel so much better when you listen. Yeah, sometimes you gotta teach them certain things, right? And just like guys too, you gotta be able to communicate with your lady too as well, right? So, anyways, back to defensiveness. You're invalidating her feelings. Basically, you're saying that whatever you feel, it's not right. You're being defensive about it. And there's a reason why they're saying all this to you. Becoming defensive and blame shifting is basically absolving yourself from personal responsibility, right, of the problem. And this is what defensiveness gets in the way of solving problems together. It just stops. It puts everything at a halt. Okay? The only thing I'd be doing is speaking highly of myself because I have self-respect and love now. When people can't relate, they think you're an a-hole. And I think so. I think this is what happens. When you speak up like that and when you speak highly of yourself, people might see that as bragging, right? I literally get called the makeup girl to taunt me like I'm a girl, duh. When people try to comment on my weight, it hurt my feeling like how would it hurt theirs. So what I would look out for is what is causing them to have that type of comment to you, right? And like you said, you like to speak highly of yourself. And when you speak highly of yourself, people might take that as you're bragging. And so, like I said, it becomes defensive, right? It becomes criticism, right? They're using criticism to you. They're like, "Oh, you think you're so perfect. Look at this. Look at, you could be like this. You don't look like that, right?" And it's like, and then it just goes back and forth. And you're like, "Yeah, I don't really care about you because I just met you. You're just in a friend circle, right?" But what I'm saying is, if you want a better relationship with anybody, what I might suggest is that you might want to tone that down a little bit and might, don't speak too highly about yourself. Let other people speak it for you, because if you are really that high value, other people will speak that for you, right? Yeah, but it just gives people the wrong vibes when you come across too highly of yourself. So that's just what I'm suggesting, right? And you don't like I said, like, all this is just ideas, right? And it's just certain things, like, do you want to adapt it and do you not? So that's just my perspective on that, Melissa. Now the last one is stonewalling. Okay, stonewalling is basically refusal. We already talked about it earlier. It's refusal to communicate with someone, and relationship is very unlikely to succeed without communication and collaboration, right? Basically, stonewallers that, like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, right? Stonewallers may pretend the problem disappeared, and then once it's gone and they feel like they gave you enough punishment, they're like, okay, I'm ready to talk now. Like, oh, let's just pretend nothing happened. Are you hungry? Let's go get some food, right? It's like, what the fuck? Like we didn't just have this heated as intense argument and then you just stopped talking to me, and right when you felt like, oh, you punished me enough that you could just come back in my life. Like, what am I conveying to you? That, oh, it's okay to stonewall me, right? Like, no, that is not okay. And if you want to continue doing that, it's not going to be around me, right? That's where you set and enforce those healthy boundaries. I literally don't say anything wild. Well, you know what? I'm not there, so I can't really pick it out for you. I never argued and brought everything to the table. Maybe I'm not good at arguments. I never argued and brought everything. I'm not fully understanding the first sentence though, Cynthia. Okay, like I said, the quick recap: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. These are the four horsemen of a predictor of divorces, right? Dr. John Gottman. I think I have two more slides. Let's try to finish this up. Okay. So for the next two slides, I just want to get it through. Okay. So I might be reading the comments a little bit less. Now, so slide number 3 is what you should be looking for. Okay. What you should be looking for is someone who's easygoing and easy to get along with, right? Someone who's going to communicate and work out differences calmly with you. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people who came from dysfunctional homes or broken homes, they may never change. And usually, right? And usually most people don't change unless they seek help, whether it's professional or they find it within themselves or whatever it may be. They have to do it. Like I said, I came from a broken, dysfunctional home. That also means that I have a lot of shit that I have to kind of unwind, that I had to unlearn. And that takes discipline, because we're creatures of habit. We're creatures of adapting to certain things. So when I was blame shifting on people, when I was stonewalling people, and I would like criticize them for doing one thing wrong, like, how could you drop a fork? Like, wasn't that shit just in your hand? Like, yeah, like, it still gets to me, and I still think about it, because I'm like, dude, why did I fucking do that? And I still kind of blame myself to this day, but it's kind of like, well, you're not that person anymore, Mitchell, and you're better than that. And so I'm able to move past that, but it doesn't mean that never existed, So yeah, people that came from broken homes or dysfunctional homes, chances are they're not going to work on themselves. And it's your job to pick out those right people for you, right? And it's not your job to fix them. They must be willing to do it themselves. They must participate in their own rescue. And trying to change somebody is delusional. Now, someone who leaves you, gives you the silent treatment, that stonewall you, just because they don't get things their way, because they don't know how to emotionally regulate their problems and communicate, this is their personal problem. This is their choice. They have to deal with it. All you can do is communicate, and if they're not willing to permanently change, then you're gonna permanently not get me. Okay, this is my requirement. You're not gonna talk to me like that. I don't care if you're a fucking millionaire. I don't care if you got hella fucking power. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. All right. You stay out of my court. I stay out of yours. All right. That's it. We don't have to talk. We don't have to be friends. I don't care. Right. And here's why. You signed up to be in a relationship with that person. Right. I'm assuming you want to be in a relationship with a good, healthy individual. When you do sign up for certain things like this, you sign up to be in a good, healthy relationship. You're not signing up for abuse. Okay. And so you have to look out for that when it does happen, because you have to set and enforce those healthy boundaries. So you have to remember that. Thank you for listening. Of course. So will there be problems in a relationship? Absolutely. I think relationship will always have its ebbs and flows, right? The highs and lows. Damn, I'm a rapper. Have its highs and lows. But you're looking for someone who solves problems with you, right? Not someone to go against you all the time. So you're looking for a teammate, not a rival, right? So it's always better if you're able to talk about situations that you're currently in, right? As a guy, you should listen to her by default. Most of the time when your lady is complaining, she's saying certain things to you, she just wants you to listen. She doesn't want you to give her feedback. She doesn't want you to give her suggestions of what she needs to do. She already know there's a nail in her shoulder and it needs to be taken out. But before she takes it out, she needs you to listen. She wants to talk about it so she feels better. But you're like, but you could just take it out and you will feel a lot better. No, I want to talk about it first and then I'll take it out. Okay? That's how she operates. Let her operate like that. Okay? It's not your job, okay, to fix her problems. Now, if you're not sure, if you're a guy and you're watching this and you're not sure, guess what you could do? You could be like, do you want me to listen? Or do you want me to give you my opinion? My 2 cents? 90%, she's like, I just want you to listen. All right. Baby, I'll listen. So it is always better if you listen. Then there could be, you could ask questions for her to find solutions. Oh, so this is what happened. Okay, so what do you think you're gonna do? How are you gonna solve that problem? Chances are she's gonna be able to figure out her own thing that she needs to do. And if you could ask the right questions that leads her into the right path, and she's like, you know what? That's what I need to do. I need to leave this fucking job, improve myself, become better, so I don't have to deal with this bullshit. I could be like, I could work on my own, right? I could be an entrepreneur, right? I wish I could invite all the gym bros to get this advice. Yeah, I mean, some people just got, they know how to lift. They, hey, by all means. Yes, a teammate, not a rival. Tennille Baker? Tennille? Yes, that's me expression. Yes, that's me expression helps, but the right questions to improve. You must be new in here. Is it Tennille? Tennille? Hi. Yeah, Uncle Mitchell Riz. Yeah, I'm known for being Uncle Mitchell. Even my nieces, when they have a temper tantrum, and I see, like, I see. Now I gotta take a break. Me personally, if I'm in a household with the parent, I never disrespect the parent. I'm like, hey, your kid's acting like this, right? And I will do my best to like sit down and listen to them. But if they want to yell and scream, who am I to be like, hey, you shouldn't yell at your kids, right? You probably shouldn't. It's probably the right advice. But I'm not the parent. So there has to, like, there's a line that I don't cross, right? And I'm like, yo, this now. But if you're coming to me and you're like, hey, like, how can I become better? How can I have a better relationship with my kids where I don't yell as much or where I don't scream as much? That's different. Like, then you're coming to me with you're asking for my suggestions, and then this is where I will come and give you my suggestions, right? I wish I wish or I had an uncle. I'd be getting fed. Oh yeah, they always get boba whenever I do see them, but I don't see them often. I'm very to my own kind of thing. Anyways, let's move on because I have about 10 minutes and then I have to dip out. Okay. So it's always better to listen, then find a solution. Now, using the word I, right? When I do this, so like, okay, example is you have an argument and not an argument, a disagreement. She doesn't agree. She has something that's on her mind. She wants to talk about certain things. Use the word I. So she's telling you like, oh, this is how it makes me feel when you do this and you do that. And so you reiterate what she says. You say, so when I play with my phone, right? And you're talking to me, I make you feel like I'm not listening to you. Is that correct? Even though it sounds like oblivious, yeah, that's how you make me feel. Now, when you say things using the word I and you reiterate what she says, it shows that you're listening. It shows that you're paying attention, and it shows that, hey, you know what? I'm willing to make a change because now what you're trying to say next is because I care about you. It's because I want this relationship to work and you're important to me. And so when that does happen, I want you to point it out to me because, you know, it's still new to me. It's still a habit. I'm not perfect. So if I were to ever take out the phone, just point to the phone. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because that's a habit that I don't want to continue having. Can you do that for me? Can you just point? And I will do my best to not take out the phone when we're talking because I want because you're important to me and I want to make sure that you feel heard and you feel understood, right? And that you're the most important person in the room. So that now let's just say that relationship doesn't work. Well, guess what? You just learned something great moving on to the next relationship. Or even when you're talking to friends, things like that, right? So, like I said, and this shows that you're listening, that you're validating her feelings, right? And her feelings is important to you because feelings don't need to make sense in order for them to feel bad, right? So now as a guy, you're looking for someone that does the same thing too as well, right? Someone who shares similar values. Does she do that? Because if you already know that there's certain things that you don't do for to other people, you're also going to look for that as well. So like before, when I'm talking to people, they're playing with their phones, I'm just talking. Now when I went up, and I even went to a store and I was like, this guy was like, he knows me, so we cool, but I ain't that cool with you. Like, this is my time. I'm coming in to like do certain things. Like I'm trying to purchase this or I'm trying to sell that or whatever it may be. And he's on his phone. He's like, and I'm like, hey, yo, is this a bad time? Do you want me to come back later? He's like, oh, no. I was like, cool. No, you just look busy, right? I'm not going to be like, hey, can you get off your phone? I mean, he doesn't really have to. I could talk to his boss, but I also need him to help me out. So I was like, hey, yo, like, is this a bad time? Like, do you want me to come back? That's why I'm learning how to cook. That's good. So it's about phrasing the things correctly, right? Now, like I said, as a guy, you're looking for someone that does the same thing. In this case, problem solving. Does she have problem solving abilities? Can she do it calmly? Can she listen, right? Now, the last slide is how to have a better relationship. And Coach Corey Wayne says, communication in healthy adults requires participation, right? You need to participate. I need your help. I need you to help me, right? So, like I said, you're not a psychic, and you won't make mistakes. Whether you misinterpret what they're saying, or maybe you misheard them, or maybe you just didn't listen to them because you was playing with your phone or something like that. You just weren't listening. The best relationship is by taking some part of the responsibility. Because what you're saying is, if she's complaining to you that, hey, you know, when you do this is how it makes me feel, and you're like, what do you mean I play with my phone? I'm listening. Yeah, but when you're on your phone, it just feels like you're not listening as much. And what you're saying to her next, and you'd be like, but I am listening though. I am listening. I heard you. You said and you use that word, right? You said, you're going out to Costco buying Pokemon cards, right? See, I am listening. Now, what you're conveying to her is that, yeah, logic and reasoning, logically, I heard you. You said you're going to go to Costco and buy Pokemon cards. But what you're also doing is that you're invalidating how she feels. So it feels like you're not listening because you're playing with your phone. It's like you don't care enough to be attentive to me. That's what you're saying, right? And that's something that's very, like if I'm talking to you and you're on your phone, it doesn't seem like you're giving me your full attention. Am I right? And that the best thing that you could ever give to anybody is your time. If you could give someone your time, that is the most valuable thing you could give to anybody else. Now, whether you value your time or not, that's up to you, right? It's like, well, how come you could make $10 an hour, right? 1 hour, 60 minutes, right? I don't know how many seconds. 720 seconds? No, I'm tripping. Anyways, 60 minutes, right? 1 hour could make like $10, right? Another person can make like $1,000 in 1 hour. The time is still a time, right? So what I'm saying is, how do you value your time? And if you don't value your time, what makes you think other people will value yours? And this is how you're going to convey to other people. So now when I go to places and they're constantly late, very late, right? And I'm like, hey, you what's going on? Like, you're always hella late. Like, what's going on? Now, if it's like a party or something, that's different. Like, hey, we're showing up. You said 2:00, it's 2:30, right? Some things to do, that's different. But if I told you that I will be there at 2, best believe I'm going to be there at 2. There's a difference, right? If you tell me the party's at 2, I'm going to show up at 2:30, 3:00 maybe, right? That's just me. But if you tell me, be like, hey, Mitchell, can you come here at this time? That's different, okay? Value your time, other people will value you, okay? I don't care if you're an employee and there's a higher up come to you. I spoke to my district manager the same way. I was an employee. I was like, I don't think that's right. And this is way before. I was like, you didn't have to talk to me like that. If you didn't want me to do a certain thing, you should have communicated with me. And guess what happened? She was like, Mitchell, you're right. I should not have yelled at you. And I was like, thank you. And guess what happened? That person respected me more, right? And I wasn't blaming them. I'm like, if there was something that, and now when I communicated to them, I was like, hey, this is what happened. They're like, you're right. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So there was more respect, and they took personal responsibility to be like, you know what? I should not have yelled at you. I was wrong. And that takes a lot of guts, and not a lot of people can do that, especially from a district manager to like I was a regular ass employee. And so what I'm saying is, like, respect comes in many forms, but we should all deserve respect, So the best relationships is the best relationship is by taking some part of the responsibility, right? And so I can and I will be better with listening to you more, basically, right? Because I care about you and I love you. So remember that any successful relationship, you work together as a team, working on the same problem, right? Now, questions and credits to Coach Corey Wayne is, what does it mean? What does it mean when you say blank? What do you mean by that? What do you mean, right? And what does it look like? What would I have done? What would I have to do differently in order for you to feel like I'm giving you blank? Basically, it's like, yeah, I'm not psychic. I'm not telepathic, so I can't read your mind. I love you and I care about you and I want to support you, but I'm not understanding. Something's not clicking. I don't know what it is. Like, can you help me? These are certain questions that you can ask, okay? And if you want to watch that again, hit rewind, all right? So anyways, stonewallers. Stonewallers. About 85% of heterosexual relationships or heterosexual couples who stonewall are guys. Guys stonewall, right? I was one of those. What they're thinking is they're not really trying to make the matter worse. Because eventually what he's thinking is like she will eventually burn herself out. Like, I'm not trying to make it worse. She would burn herself out, right? Stonewallers are trying to calm down and not make things worse by not talking, right? But when you're faced with someone who's silent like that, problems tends to escalate, and it's a very destructive pattern when you stonewall somebody. So you don't want to stonewall nobody. So like I said, you're looking for a healthy relationship, not someone or something that you feel like you're always walking on eggshells. Someone who's unwilling to communicate will have moments where it's kind of like it's great for a while. It's good when it's great, but it's terrible when it's bad, right? It's horrible, and it goes back and forth, right? Then you go back to the habit of like, yo, I'm just gonna ignore you and I'm gonna punish you by ignoring. And that's not a teammate, and that's not very loving. And so, you like I said, you're looking for someone who's willing to communicate with you, and that's the most important thing in a relationship. And if that is not one of your core values, I highly suggest that you kind of take a look at what your value system is. Because if you want a good, healthy relationship and you want to be able to continue on with this, well, guess what? It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of work on you first. Okay. That being said, that is the entire show today. I'm going to go over the summaries, and then I will head out. All right. So the summary is, number one, stonewalling. Stonewalling is defined by being uncooperative, obstructive, and evasive. If you grew up in a dysfunctional household where yelling and screaming is very common, or it is not uncommon, you may be passing it on to somebody else, and you might not even know it. So, maybe be aware of that. Catch that. The 4 predictors of divorce is criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, right? These are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right? With Dr. John Gottman. And what you should be looking for, slide number 3, what you should be looking for is someone who's easygoing, who's easy to get along with, right? Someone who's going to communicate, work out the differences. And when I say easygoing, easy to get along with, what I'm also saying is, like, if that person has a lot of insecurities, look, it's not your job to change them. Okay, that's something that they need to work on. And if they are willing to work on it themselves, and you want to stay in that type of relationship where this person feels a little insecure, yeah, I got you. How can I make you feel a little bit more secure, especially around me, right? Last one is how to have a better relationship. The best relationship is by taking some part of the responsibility. And what you're saying is, I can and I will be better with listening to you more, right? Because I care about you, and I love you, and I want to support you. And these are certain things that you want to, convey to the other person, so that you can have a loving relationship, and so that you don't have to be in this emotionally and mental abuse, because too many people is dealing with that. We're not the type of people that deal with this shit in here. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. And let's see, is there anything else? Okay, most importantly, she realized it. Not many bosses understand and realize that. Yeah, absolutely. Like, most people be like, damn, I'm not gonna apologize to my this employee, right? This bottom feeder, right? I used to do that and realized I was no better than my family, so I stopped. Absolutely. So anyways, thank you guys for this, for your time. I really appreciate it. And I catch you guys on the next episode. All right, peace.